Hi, everyone logging in. We're going to give it just a couple of minutes to give everybody a good 12:30 start. So hopefully everything's working well for you. You can see comments on the right if you're having any problems, but we'll be back with you in just a minute. I'm going to mute until we're ready to start at 12:30. Good afternoon, everybody. Greg, how are you doing?
Doing fantastic. How are you?
I'm very good. I see people starting to log in, and I know anyone logging into this topic at 12:30 on a Thursday is a very busy person. So we commit to you some really great content fast today. We're not going to go slow. So if you have questions, feel free to type them in the comments. We'll get back to them either during the session or in contact with you afterwards. But we're going to try to be really efficient today because this is a huge topic. And again, if you're joining and you made time for this in your day, I know you're feeling the pain that we see small and medium-sized business owners deal with all of the time. So my name is Cory Raggi. I am COO here at 1RDG, also host of Rippled Radio, where we talk all things leadership and people and the bigger impact that we can make in the world. And the talent crisis is certainly relevant to all of the businesses that I am involved in. So looking forward to some value there. Greg, why don't you tell us a little bit about you?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, Greg Cullen with 1RDG. I am the Director of Business Development. My job is focused solely on growing the HRS division. So you're talking payroll, benefits, HR solutions for small, medium-sized businesses, and just adding that extra layer of customer service that the industry is in desperate need of.
And Greg, you've been in this business for how many years?
This will be in June. It'll be 16 full years.
16 years. And I'm going to say 20 plus ish, somewhere in there for me. So our experience today and our information sharing is based on a lot of observation and partnership with business owners over the years. So our topic today, the talent crisis, relates to labor shortage and retention, obviously linked, right? So it's hard to find great talent right now for reasons we're going to talk about. And so that makes retention all the more important. A lot of our conversation today is going to revolve specifically around how employee benefits can help you to attract talent and retain talent when used really efficiently and bringing the most value to the teams that work for you every single day. So we will have 5 takeaways. If you're a counter like me, I always like to know where are we beginning, middle, end. Plan on 5 takeaways today. We're talking about this topic today. Why, Greg? Why, when we said we want to bring value to business owners in the area, why did you choose this one first?
Yeah, I mean, believe it or not, it's, I mean, someone can correct my math on this, but it's been 5 years since the pandemic unfolded. And I feel like this has been a talked about topic ever since that happened. You know, the dealing with and working with small, medium-sized businesses, the thing that I heard over and over again was, Greg, I can't find employees. Greg, I can't find the right employees, or I can't keep employees. So it's been a huge topic ever since the pandemic. And quite frankly, I think it's a combination of the pandemic and, you know, a younger generation of employees moving in and the baby boomers moving out. And quite frankly, I think the pandemic put life into perspective for a lot of people, and they want more out of their jobs than just a nice paycheck and strong benefits. They want to actually enjoy their workspace.
Really great points. And I would add to that the the challenge of the remote work debate, which is a topic that we're going to be covering on a future One RDG LinkedIn Live. Not so much today, but that certainly adds another dimension or hoop to jump through, depending on which environment employees want. And they're very specific about which environment they want, but we'll save that for another topic. We're going to start with our first discussion point today. And it's about, again, work always falls back to the owner of the business or the HR leader that's responsible for this. But the first piece of advice we would give on dealing with the talent crisis, labor shortage, retaining talent, is that you have to be educated and understand the specific challenges to your industry, to your business side, to your employee demographic. So Greg, you meet with business owners and you have a lot of examples of how industry, company size, demographic, location, those all impact what your specific challenges and needs are from an employee benefit standpoint. Can you share some examples of what you've seen and so maybe some suggestions that you've made based on that? Because we know there's no one size fits all solution.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing is, we all have our partners, whether it's an accountant or an insurance agent or financial advisor. The biggest thing that I want you guys to take away from today is make sure that your circle is people that you can trust and are actually looking out for your best interest. And one thing that really sticks out to me that's happened over the past few years here, in November of 2021, there's a retirement mandate in New York State that was proposed by Kathy Hochul. I'm sure you've heard of it, Cory. And basically what it said was if you have 10 or more employees in a given year, you're going to be required to offer some type of retirement plan to your employees. Well, there's a lot of companies out there that are using that as leverage to sell a 401k to businesses that don't necessarily need a 401k. They don't know the difference between a 401k and a simple IRA. In a lot of cases, these small businesses that have 10, 15 employees, they're probably going to be a better fit for a simple because they can't afford $200, $300, $400 a month to pay for a 401k when they're not even contributing that much, right? So make sure you're educated and make sure that your inner circle is giving you the right advice and right information, because you can offer a retirement plan with no admin fees. You don't have to have a 401k. And oh, by the way, the retirement mandate, it has not been enforced yet. So as of right now, you don't have to offer anything. So that's one thing, one example that I've seen over the past few years that, a lot of business owners are shocked when I kind of give them that information.
So talk to me as well. It's a great example of good partners providing great advice and your inner circle understanding your specific situation, your requirements, and in particular in that space, so much compliance, so many details to be aware of. How about in the employee benefit space? Have you seen examples of small business owners maybe not understanding what benefits programs they actually need, as opposed to what they think they need, and maybe what they think they need is prohibitive and there was a simpler solution?
Right. Well, the biggest thing, even somebody that doesn't know anything about health insurance.
No one does.
Well, right. But I guess my point is health insurance is so expensive. At least that's what, everybody is led to believe, without being educated on certain employer sponsored plans, such as Healthy New York. It's good to see if you qualify for that, because if you do qualify for that, take that and run, because it's the cheapest and most efficient. It's the best healthcare plan in New York State by far. It's not even close.
No, really, really great point. And again, that first takeaway is being educated and understanding your specific challenges as an owner, and having a great partner does that. So this takes us to point number 2, actually, which is having good guidance from your partners. Now, I want to just set that topic up for a little bit. Number 1, and you've got great examples of this, is being a selfless partner. If you're an advisor in any capacity to a business owner, you need to do what's right for them, regardless of the benefit to you. But the second piece of it is ensuring that you have opportunities to get your partners to talk to each other. I know for me, as the middleman, I often use a medical example for this. I wish all the doctors would talk. I wish the general physician would talk to the surgeon, would talk to the cardiologist. I don't hear of that happening very often.
Yeah.
But in our business world, very similar, you want your business owners or your advisors to have a connection. so they can advise you. So talk a little bit about examples of great guidance, maybe that you've seen given or you've given to your clients. It doesn't always benefit you, but it's the right thing for them.
Yeah, and I'll give a personal example actually. So my wife recently has become a stay-at-home mom and has, I guess, quote unquote, retired from the workforce. And I talked to our benefits director, Jeff Nagel, about alternatives because health insurance, again, it's crazy expensive. And he told me to look up Child Health Plus, and it's a plan that you can get directly through the marketplace, and you can get it as cheap as $30 per kid per month, and it's going to save our family about $400 or $500 a month in healthcare.
Wow.
And you're talking about somebody that's in this workspace, right? So how many business owners out there have their employees on a family plan or have their children on their healthcare when they haven't even looked at Child Health Plus to see if they can save the difference, right? So it doesn't benefit the broker by any means necessary, but it's the best thing for that employee and the employer. So again, being a business owner and being educated on those alternatives and having the right broker in your corner is a huge, huge game changer.
So to make sure we're making a clear connection here, tying these things back to how does this help us attract the right employees and keep them?
Yep.
We're talking about advisors to the business owners, but business owners end up being the advisors in some cases or the mentors to their employees.
Right.
So HR leaders, business owners, supervisors in any capacity, when they're educated about the benefits programs available inside and outside of the company, now you're bringing a value to your employees above and beyond a paycheck and here's what you do every day.
Right.
Now you have a different value proposition for the people that work for you. And this is kind of the next level of this conversation, right? We're talking about attracting people in a highly competitive market and retaining people also in a highly competitive market. It's really easy to leave a job for what looks like a big pay jump. But if you factor in the cost of benefits, maybe a completely shift in culture, shift in hours, every little bit of value that you bring adds to the total employee value proposition there.
Yep.
So, we've talked about being educated, having partners that you can trust, and having good, unselfish guidance. That brings us to our third point today, which is developing and valuing our people. So I want to talk just a couple minutes about this, Greg, and I'm certainly interested in your opinion. I'm obsessed with this part of the topic. You know that you and I have worked together in different capacities for a long time. But I had an employee conversation this morning, as a matter of fact, and it's not the first time I've had it. Employees don't always stay because of a paycheck, and they don't always come to you because of a paycheck. They come for the promise of the growth of that paycheck. Right. And the growth of the paycheck comes because they've developed new, more valuable, marketable skills under your guidance. I remember, and it's easy to deprioritize that when times get tight. Do we want people developing themselves during the day? It's not bringing us money. Or what if I make them better and they leave? And one of the great adages, that someone shared with me is, what if you don't make them better and they don't leave? What does that do to your business? So as you're interviewing employees, and also having stay interviews with your employees, which we don't have time to cover stay interviews today, but I would encourage people to Google that if you've never heard of it before. But sitting down with people that work for you and asking them, what do you love about working here? And what don't you love about working here? What would cause you to leave? What's a phone call that you could get that would pull you away from here? Scary question to ask, but so informative. Find that out before the resignation.
Yeah.
So you can improve those things. Yep. So, I can't say enough about the value of development and the story of that in recruitment, being able to show real examples of internal promotions and career paths. And for people that are working for you now, never taking for granted their engagement level, but finding out you've accomplished this, now what?
Yeah.
Now, I want to just add one more funny little complication to that, depending on the size of the business that we're talking about. I can imagine being the owner of a 10 employee business and thinking, I don't have these career paths for people. I don't have this big title to promote them to. What do I do? Stretch assignments, having people solve real business problems with you in their current role, views of the business that they don't get to see in their normal day job. Those are all marketable experiences that can help them contribute in a more meaningful way, think more like an owner, and ultimately affect your bottom line in their place while they're growing and they want to stay. So I'm cramming a lot into a minute or so here. But Greg, tell me, do you think I'm on the right track? What would you add to that? How do you feel about the role of development in return?
Yeah, I read something. There's a great tool out there called Mineral. It sends a lot of updates on how to manage employees. It's an HR tool. And one of the things that I noticed a few weeks ago, it said when doing performance reviews as the employer, and again, a small business owner might not do a performance review, but they can do this one small task. And I thought it was interesting. The task was have that employee write their own job description on what they want to do. And it gives the employer feedback on what they actually want to do and can kind of help them get to where they want to be and do what they want to do. And I think you'll find that, I think the stats show that you'll have happier employees. If you get closer to their job description and your job description, it's closing the gap on keeping the employees engaged.
I love that story, and I want to put an exclamation point on it because, again, I'm always trying to shift my seat and think, okay, I'm running this business. Do I have time to sit down and do that with every employee?
Yeah.
Well, do you have time to replace them? And that's what I ask myself every time I have those moments of decision. Like, it feels like you're asking a lot of time from me. It's less time than the alternative. And again, we're talking about a strange labor market in terms of, how many qualified applicants are people getting for their jobs right now? It is not easy. So we have to make the best of what we have, and we have to win as many times as we can when a candidate is interviewing in multiple places. My dad was a analogy freak, which is probably where I got it from. He basically spoke in analogies, but it reminds me, a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush, right? Take care of who you have and make who you have better tomorrow than they were yesterday. And watch your administration costs decrease because of that. Again, I could talk about that one for a really long time, but let's move to point number 4. How to be competitive in the market when it's tight. So I want to talk, some of this we'll be revisiting some of the 401k pieces, but how do benefits packages help attract new employees, Greg?
So for benefits, with small businesses, the budget is tight, right? So the idea is to strategize on how can we offer cost-effective benefits, right? Whether that is, putting somebody on a high deductible plan with matching it with an HSA. HSAs are almost looked at as retirement plans nowadays. So almost kind of educating the business owner on how to kind of mix and match and provide these benefits, and then obviously educate their employees on how to take advantage of those. That's something that obviously, your broker should be doing with you. But that's one way. Another way, and this is, again, keeping budget in mind. One thing that I saw was interesting, and I actually wrote this stat down. This is regarding onboarding. According to a Harvard Business Review, 69% of employees are more likely to stay with a company for 3 years if they experience great onboarding. That's huge. What that tells me is the first impression is everything. Excuse my language, but employees want to know what, that their business, that the employer has their stuff together, right? And that is the first thing that tells them they do, that they're working for a good company. And then the end of that stat says organizations with strong onboarding processes increase new hire retention by 82% and improve productivity by 70%. That's insane.
It is, and I can't help but think about the times we've had new hires, and you hire somebody and you're so excited, and again, I want to say, excuse my language, I'm gonna skip it. Like, shoot,
Yeah.
We're starting tomorrow.
Yeah.
How much preparation and thought did you give to setting up those first 2 weeks? Because
Yep.
you don't get a second chance at a first impression,
Yep.
right? And I think it's really easy to forget that when we're talking about a life decision somebody made to invest their 40 plus hours a week with you, those first few days are either solidifying it or making them question it.
Yep. And I would say that's, onboarding is not a benefit, right? But it's a benefit to the employer that they have this process buttoned up, and, speak to your HR consultant or advisor and make sure you have that stuff buttoned up and it's nice and precise and clean, and keeps the employee engaged and introduces them to people within your firm to keep them engaged with the culture. And that's, again, that's the introduction to your culture as well. And that's where the HR begins, right?
There's a typed in comment here that I want to recognize related to this. We've been talking about having good guidance from your partners, and external recruiters can be part of that. If
Yeah.
you're a business owner and you don't have the ability to source those resumes, and you're not confident in your ability to make those hiring decisions, including a recruiter and kind of your board of directors for your business can be extremely helpful there. And again, is there a fee? Yes, but hiring the right person, priceless. What's that? MasterCard? We'll get them to sign up. So how to be competitive when the market is right. We're talking about making sure we're investigating how can lower cost benefits be of value, right?
Yep.
How do we ensure that, again, when we say benefits, I'm gonna expand it and call it people practices, right? How do our people practices help us retain and attract the right employees? And benefits are part of that. Onboarding is part of that. How we lead and develop is all part of that. This brings us to our fifth point today. So this is a personal favorite. Maybe I subconsciously saved the best for last, but we did this year here, and I can't stop thinking about the reasons that I love it. So this past year, benefits costs went up. When the overall benefit cost goes up, every business owner has to make the decision: do I absorb the additional cost to protect my employees? Do I pass the cost on to my employees, or is there something in the middle? The hard thing, the easy hero answer that some people might want to say is, maybe the company will absorb it. I love the spirit of that, but the hard thing is, because benefits are so misunderstood, you don't always get credit for absorbing that cost. It can be forgotten really quickly. And we're trying to do things that bring recognizable value to our people. Again, not that we want to be credit takers all the time, but it can be taken for granted really quickly.
Absolutely.
If you pass it on to the employee, they can feel a certain way about that. Whatever decision you make, if you're educating your team on costs went up, here's how we're going to deal with it. And by the way, let me help you make the most financially responsible decision about the benefits that you choose. Because when you save your employee money, you're effectively giving them a raise. So long story short here, or short story long, having a seminar in partnership with your benefits broker to explain to your employees how to leverage maybe a high deductible plan for the people it makes sense for, how to use an HSA, how, if they're using an FSA, are they putting everything in there that they can? Teaching your employee how to effectively use a lower cost benefits plan can actually save them money. You've given them a raise, and you've allowed the credit to be taken for having a really rich plan and teaching them how to use it. That is a piece that I've seen many companies try to do, not always successfully, because they're so complicated. Like I said, I've been in this space forever. I'm still intimidated every year at open enrollment. Thank God I'm surrounded by experts, but more business owners, I think, can leverage their brokers to really engage with their employees and make sure they're making the best decision.
Yeah, that's huge. Maximizing the plans that are in place, right? Making them the most efficient you can. And it all starts with the education, right? The worst thing that you can hear from, an employer is, I don't know how to explain these plans to my employees. And that's huge, making sure they're knowledgeable about what they're offering to their employees.
When I think about the pressure, on a business owner that they can feel as we're having this conversation, like another thing I need to become an expert in. And that brings me back to some of our earlier points about great partners. Another person just shared compensation insights are huge, because you want to understand how competitors are winning at talent strategy, like having the right comp plans to incentivize people and attract them. So, I mean, even in this 24-minute, 42-second here, we've got you and I talking and however many other users typing in thoughts here. Clearly a topic that can use a lot of attention. But I think, some of the answer here is in having good partners. I'll give us one more analogy. How many of us have gadgets at home that we only know a few features of? I mean, my kids show me something on my iPhone all the time that I didn't know that it did. Benefit plans are just another gadget. There's so much more in there that we could be taking advantage of. Different disability programs have EAPs and all of these rich offerings that it just takes time. So really great partners that are proactive and will consult with you are key to helping, any business owner win the talent crisis right now, decrease the shortage, and win in those competitive situations. Greg, I'm going to review our 5 takeaways here, and then I'm going to give it back to you for anything you want to add here. So we said today, being educated and understanding your individual challenges based on your industry, your demographics, your location, and your size is important. 2, having good guidance from your partners, unselfish partners that can advise you what's best for you, not even just what's best for them. Number 3, developing and valuing your people. Bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush. Help people grow and see that career path where you are. Number 3, being able to be competitive in the market when it is tight through strong and affordable benefits offerings, everything from onboarding, people practices, all of those things. And number 5, teach your teams how to use the benefits that they have, because a dollar saved for them is a raise to their family and to their paycheck. Greg, what did we forget today that you've seen out there that you want to add? Anything?
Without taking another half an hour up, that does a great job. And again, I can't stress the importance of having good people in your corner and surrounding yourself and your business with people that are looking out for your best interest. I can't stress that enough.
Well, Greg, I know I'm biased, but business owners out there are lucky to have you. And I'm glad that we were able to have this conversation today. If anybody has any further questions, don't hesitate to reach out to either one of us on LinkedIn, or our contact information is also on our website. Thank you for those of you that typed in comments, really valuable inputs and insight. And hopefully these little conversations are making a better workplace for all of the people out there, because I believe a better experience during the day sends people better home at night. And that's really how we start to make an impact on a larger scale. So thank you all for joining. Greg, thanks for being an expert today. And I'm sure I'll see you here again soon.
Thank you, Cory. Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye, everyone.